Howdy, y'all. It's your favorite trainer with a belt buckle. Today, we're giving you a glimpse on the online internship and how to make a program for a 59-year-old client. If you haven't read the book, How to Become a Successful Personal Trainer, make sure to check us out in person, online, weekend seminars, showupfitness.com. Let us know what you think of this class. So we'll take a look at Mario's plan today. And so the homework was from the other night, looking at a program. So when we look at the tenets of programming, I have a video on YouTube. If you just type in Show Up Fitness, progressive overload. And progressive overload is the story of Milo of Croton's, who the guy I have in my book. And did Milo actually get all jacked up from carrying a cow? Who knows? But the wives' tale goes that he picked up this cow, and as he did it more and more and more, the stress to the tissue allowed for him to get bigger. Now, there's a lot of different ways to implement progressive overload. The easiest way is what?
Wait.
So just go up and load. So your client comes in on day one and they're able to bench press 45 pounds for 10 reps. The next set, you go up 2.5 pounds to 50 pounds. Now, what you can also do, this is you can increase volume. So week one, we have a client who is new to exercising. We typically like to keep the sets per exercise, per movement, probably 2 to 3 sets. So keeping it between 8 to 12 total working sets for that day is plenty volume for a newbie. And, we had a call last week with one of our interns in LA, and he's a younger kid. He, interestingly enough, is plant-based. I say that because he isn't used to using a lot of resistance, but he was really, really sore. That's probably multifactorial, one being a lack of protein, also a complete protein, which we'll talk more about tomorrow in class with nutrition. But another factor is he just hasn't used load before. And so he's really, really sore, and that's normal. Now, for a beginning client to do, 5-6 sets of 15 to 25 reps per pattern, that's a lot of volume, and they're going to be really, really, really sore. So when we look at the basic tenets of programming, we want to keep it simple. So choose exercises that you're comfortable teaching within the pattern. So your squat, hinge, push, pull, unilateral, vertical, horizontal. And then you want to progress each set. Now, take one exercise one. So someone choose a pattern, anyone.
Squat.
And give me an exercise for the squat.
You have a goblet squat.
So we have a client, we've screened them, we've eliminated any red flags. They don't have high blood pressure, no heart history, and they're competent of moving. So you give working with a 59-year-old, and that's the example that Mario used here. I'll pull this up. So let's go to a 59-year-old female. And so what weight do you think you would start her out with for a goblet?
Maybe like a 10.
Yeah, that's a good one. And we're going to instruct for her to do how many reps?
I would say 20, but maybe 15.
So there's nothing wrong with 20. In my experience, working with a deconditioned nation, she wants to lose 20 pounds. She's not exercising. She is doing classes here. So then 20 would be fine. But for someone who doesn't work out at all, I would just start out with 10. And just because really we're just checking out the form. And I'm going to set expectations. I'm going to do it first. So I'll grab the 10, I'll walk over there, and I'll give her a demo of what that looks like. All right, we're going to call her Mary. Mary, we're going to focus on holding the weight here. The further you hold it away from your body, you're just going to feel it in your back a little bit more, which is fine. It's just the closer to the body is typically what we'll suggest. I want you to keep your chest proud. I want you to have your big toe, little toe, and heel on the ground at all times. And the first action is going to have our butt come back and our knees are going to come down at the same time. And I like to put a bench behind you just so you can cue sit back and down. It's just an easy way to start out with the exercise. I give it to her, and then I would get down on my knees literally, and I would push on her big toe or little toe and heel so she knows what I'm making reference to. then I'm going to have her do the exercise. I'm going to be standing next to her. First rep, I'm going to have my hand kind of behind her back, ready just in case, maybe she loses control, she falls backwards. I don't know. So I just want to be showing her that she's safe in my presence. She's going to be able to rock it out super easy. And then maybe on the 6th or 7th rep, you notice that her knees start to come a little bit. So you just graze the outside of her knee and you encourage her to breathe out on the way up, breathe in on the way down. 10th rep, I take the weight from her. Great job. Awesome. So then if there's a couple different ways that you can handle this depending on the environment and if it's an online program or in person, but for the most part, we'll take that core pattern and then we'll complement that with another core pattern. So I'm going to either do an upper body push or pull. It always depends on the individual and their needs. If she has shoulder issues, we would want to address that. But just to make it easy for the environment that I'm in, I'm going to go down and do a push-up. So I show her how to do a push-up. I'm going to do it first. We don't want to be a T. We want to be an arrow. Keep your core tight, glutes engaged. Set the expectations. I always go down super slow. And then do you think Mary would be able to do a push-up? Hypothetically with this environment? No, I don't think so. And so I would show, and again, if she was really overweight or just kind of fragile, I would regress her back to like a wall. But I think that she'll be able to handle an eccentric push-up. So I show her how to do it. Come down super, super slow. Worst case scenario, put your knees on the ground. Nothing can happen. You're going to be perfectly okay. Now, I could sidetrack in that environment as well, where I could just get her into a push-up position. I could go grab a band, put it under her, and that's our safety net. And then she could come down super, super slow. So some people may regress to a wall or bench. That's fine. That's just the coach. Think of how coaches work. So you can work with Nate in Austin or Barack in LA, Megan in San Diego, or myself. And all of us could have little different techniques that we do. I remember I was in a class with Nate and he likes to start out just starting all of his clients on a wall and a bench. There's nothing wrong with that. That's a technique that he's used for himself. And that's what you're going to learn with the experience of doing it. So Mario said 20 reps. It's not wrong, but the more that he trains 59-year-olds, he may modify that. And he may say 15, 10 in the future. There's no definitive right answer for that. You just have to kind of know the environment. And after that, depending on how she's doing, I'm going to do maybe an ab exercise, a core exercise. I use that interchangeably. Anterior would be like a plank, lateral side plank, posterior back extensions or something along those lines, or just anything that she enjoys doing. And then I would, after I finish that, just give me a random accessory exercise that you want your client to do today.
I put plank.
Okay, great. So we're gonna have her do a plank. It's very common. She's gonna say, I feel it in my low back. So you have her go to her knees and say, talk to me about that. Is it sharp? Is it shooting? Is it numb? 9 times out of 10, no, it's just, I feel it. Yeah, it's just your body's way of waking up. Worst case scenario, something feels off, put your knees down, nothing can happen. You're super, super safe with me. I've had thousands of clients do this before. Now, if you haven't had 1,000 clients, use me as your little guardian angel on your shoulder and just say you have. It's not necessarily lying, and I just say it's fabricating the truth because the client's in this position. And if you say, hey, good news, Mary, this is the first time I've ever successfully put someone into a plank position, she's going to lose her shit. And she's like, oh my God, and she doesn't feel confident in you. So you can vicariously live through the other trainers in class and say, I have never in my life known of anyone that has ever hurt themselves doing a plank. It's not going to happen. So when she's done with that, then we're going to progress. We're going to rest, add some professionalism there, get her a towel, get her some water, ask some questions. I'm monitoring her breathing. If she's huffing and puffing and this is really strenuous for her, I may delay a little bit longer and say, we're going to rest for 90 seconds, 2 minutes, but I'm not just going to sit it and look at her in a weird way. Ask some questions. Where you're from? What do you like to do? Do you like stocks? You're reading books? What type of shopping you still have to do last minute? You build a rapport. Right now, it'd be really easy to have a conversation about the weather. It's colder out. Where are you going for the holidays? Have some type of conversation with it. When you feel it's ready, then we're going to progressively overload the squat. Now, progressive overload also deals with synchronization and motor unit synchronization. Does anyone know what that means?
Chris, I like to I don't know if I'm 100% accurate, but the best way that I'm able to explain it to the clients when they ask, because I'll talk about that, is I always say it's like, you know, your transmission in a car, you know, first gear, second, third, fourth, fifth. And I'll say right now, your muscles may be firing at 2, 4, 3, 1, 6. And as time goes on, the Miyagi-isms of the movement patterns, your brain will start to pick up on that pattern and it will start to remember it. And then it will start to fire off the proper muscles as long as we're using the proper form into first gear, second gear, third gear, fourth gear, etc. And it seems to, you know, resonate with them a little bit better, but I don't know your thoughts on that.
I'm not a car guy, Mark, so I can't really tell you if that's how a car actually works. And so
Actually,
you
me
can-
neither. I you know, if I say it with confidence, they fucking believe me, you know?
Yeah, and that very much could be right. If you want to parlay with what I'm about to say into that analogy, that's fine. So with everyone who's in class today, give me a food group or any type of food.
Cucumbers.
Okay, so everyone go off mute real quick. And when I say now, I want you to say that magical word, which is cucumbers. Okay, now,
Cucumbers.
Cucumbers.
was that synchronized?
Nope.
Mario went first. I didn't even hear Dominic. Mark was second. Let's try it again. Now,
Cucumbers.
there we go. Now I got Margaret in there. I like that because maybe in the first rep, and this is an analogy. So this isn't how the organism is working. So muscles are like, if I stand up, if I lean forward, it's not like my glutes aren't working. They're still working. It's just the synchronization of how we just did that isn't optimized. So if we do this every single day and for the next hour, we just go now, cucumber, now, cucumber, now, cucumber, we're going to be like a beautiful orchestration. And that's referred to as motor unit synchronization. So your brain is learning to optimize that connection. And to put it into movie terms, which I always like to do, think of if you've ever seen Avatar and you have the guy in the wheelchair, I forget his name, Jake Sully, I believe, when he transforms into the avatar. The first thing that happens, he rips all the cords off him and he stands up and he's just wobbling around, he's knocking shit over and he's laughing because he hasn't been able to use his legs, but he's all over the place. The synchronization sucks. And so what happens when he breaks the window and then all of a sudden he starts running? He's adapted very quickly. So motor unit synchronization is one of the first adaptations that takes place during exercise. And so this is where I love, you know, it's, I don't know the frustration. It's not to knock, it's ignorance, but it's also stupidity. But is it stupidity? I don't know. That's how my mind works. And I go back and forth with this. But when I quote unquote attack on a unstable surface training, so it's addressing it's how do I say this? I'm not trying to be mean. Again, it's when you look at the physiology and the adaptations that take place, you could literally put anyone on any device in the second set, they're going to do better. So then what people will say is, oh my God, the Bosu ball helped with my balance. Literally, you could have stand on a fucking bed and it would have improved. So are we going to start selling beds for devices for fitness? No, you have do it with a towel. If you don't know where Bosu balls originated from, it's a physical therapy device, stands for both sides utilized. Because when I was a therapy technician, they didn't have them back in the day. And 20 years ago, what they would do is they would get towels. I would do this and I would take the towel and drop it on the ground and say, Mr. Client, do a squat. Because the studies shown at the time, and they still support today, that when you do something on an unstable surface, it helps expedite the healing process. So unstable surface training is amazing. For who though?
Somebody with an injury to their ankle
Injuries.
or something.
And so it's like, it's, you know, I've gotten a lot better where it's like beating a dead horse, but people will chime in. Like there was someone who was chiming in on one of the pages and they're like, I just don't get why you hate on unstable surface training because I do it with my clients and it works. So have you done a controlled study where you take your clients who are unstable and you just overload them in a bilateral and unilateral way and then tested it against an unstable environment? No, all you did was you put them on a BOSU ball and you said they got better. And so the analogy that I'll use, and this is where it gets frustrating, is people will use their anecdotes. So could you imagine me? So we got Dominic, you're in Connecticut, right?
Yes.
So Mark is in New York. So for those that are geographically inept, where is New York in retrospect to you?
South, east.
Okay, so imagine if I were to tell you, Dominic, how you get to New York is you got to drive up to Portland, and then you come back west, and then you go south to get to New York. You would look at me like I'm a fucking idiot. Like, what the hell? Like, no, you would never. There isn't a circumstance where you would ever do that. But then what I say is, you know, Dominic, I disagree because I did that last week and I got there. And you go, well, yeah, no shit, but that's not how you do it. And so then I'm now the bad guy for saying that, well, we can agree to disagree. I think my way's better. And you're just like, holy shit, like, is there something wrong with this dude? Because that is absolutely idiotic. And so in the fitness environment where professionals such as myself, who've been doing this for a long time and understand the science, you get new people who come in and they don't have a strong foundation. They don't know anatomy. They don't know neurophysiology, acute adaptations, as we were just discussing, size principle and how bodies adapt. And so what they do is they put their client on an exercise machine or whatever to make them feel uncomfortable. And now the client is thinking, oh shit, I need this trainer because I don't feel safe in this environment at all. And then as they train more, they go from a no weight to a 2-pound dumbbell to a 5-pound dumbbell. They're getting stronger, sure. And then at the end of the month, they test their balance and their balance is better. And they go, oh my God, it was because of the BOSU ball. And you literally could have implemented any strategy and you would have had improvements. But what we understand as fitness professionals, all of us, is when you do it properly, you get the results faster. And so then when you overload, your body's going to overload on a stable ground. You're going to be able to increase the neuromuscular recruitment because you're getting a larger recruitment, more synchronization. And so it's important for us to understand there are times you may put these exercises in there. And I honestly, I always ask, but it's like, if you want to have your client stand on a BOSU ball, it's not the end of the world. But do the worst case scenario. What if you turn around and they fall off and they blow out their ACL? Because your client's not going to fall off just sitting down or doing a plank. These are all relatively safe movements. Standing on a BOSU ball, there is a greater degree of injury. And people will say, well, that's stupid. Your clients can handle it. Your clients, as you will learn, do not know how to move properly. So you always got to weigh these pros and cons. Why am I doing it? It doesn't. And I'm gonna hop on a call with Professor Chaliwa. He's one of the guys on our board. And he has a great presentation that he gives to his exercise physiology class on balance and what balance is. And one of the main components of balance is strength. So when you improve your strength, your balance greatly improves. And we don't walk down stairs that are big rubber balls. We walk downstairs unilateral and we don't have the strength to prevent internal rotation in the frontal plane. And that's how we blow out our knees and we fall and we break a hip, and that's how you die. We need strength and progressive overload. So there's a lot of variants of progressive overload. There's volume. Volume would be doing 3 sets of 10 this week, next week doing 4 sets of 10. There's increasing the load, so doing 3 by 10, 3 by 8. So we did 10 pounds, now we do 15 pounds. There's synchronization, which would be doing that same weight, but doing it better. And that's what we would really learn with Mary, is that we could keep that weight the same. You could go up, those are your two main options. You could also slow down the tempo if you wanted to, take out proprioception, have her close her eyes. You could do a lot of different things that would still fall under the progressive overload model. So you make that decision, you try it out. And I think this is what's fun about being a trainer. You can have a client do a goblet squat with that 10 pounds. In the second set, you go, okay, we're going to keep it the same weight, but I want you to control it a little bit more on the way down. Maybe we go at a tempo of 2, where the first set was just 1 by 1. Now we're going to go 2 down, and then you come up. And then on that third set, what you have her do is you actually have her sit down and you take away momentum. And then you have her come up when you give an auditory cue, such as cucumber. And I do that. I say stupid shit all the time. I want my clients to laugh. I'm going to say pepperoni pizza, pineapple. Maybe I'll say foods that you'd put on a pepperoni pizza, or sorry, foods you put on a pizza. And then I'll say like pineapple. And she'd look at me like, oh boy, are you a weirdo? Do you put pineapple? Whatever. It's like, have fun with it. So I want her to smile. But the weight is relatively low. We're working on the competency. That's what we call neuromuscular communication / movement competency. So we would do that for 3 rounds and you go into the next one. And so what you did here, Mario, is you did a really great workout. The first, you got your warm-up. I love warm-ups. And I would almost say each warm-up, make that your new routine. Meaning, instead of changing all this stuff, what trainers do is every single workout's completely different. Just make your warm-ups different. So day 1, she comes in, you do the anterior, posterior, pelvic tilt, love it. You do alternating back lunge. You might find maybe a step up will be more appropriate. Lunges can be a little more challenging, but try it out. See what happens. Self hugs, cool, knee taps. Next time she comes in, let's say that you did the step ups and she crushed those and you felt that it was okay for her to do lunges, then you throw in lunges. Maybe you come down and do some thoracic rotations, and then you teach her how to foam roll her calves. Next time she comes in, we repeat the knee, lift your legs up, butt kickers, jumping jacks, side band walks, and you do things that are more band related that you haven't done before. So it's each time they come in, it's like a new little warm up. Go ahead.
So on the book, so just the example that you gave, like warm up for 5 minutes. So I was just thinking of like, I know it's different with someone who's you're trying to get them ready for the workout, but I was thinking of like, does the warm up necessarily have to be 5 minutes, or can it be like give or take like a couple minutes less, or like, because I don't know. I was just thinking, maybe I was thinking too much about it, but I was like, well, if let's say I do warm up like this for 5 minutes and I don't want to burn her out before she hasn't worked out in years or something,
Yeah,
but
exactly. So don't, as I posted the other day, don't annihilate your clients. There's no need for that. I don't want you to do a super long warm up where your client is exhausted and they can't even do the next exercise. That would defeat the purpose. And so, where are you? I had something I wanted to show here. So here's a trainer who charges $175 an hour in Equinox, at Equinox. If you can see what she's doing. So she charges $175. I sat over, this is one of my favorite things to do. I have my headphones in, pretend like I'm listening to music. I'm just sitting here, I'm watching. I'm listening to the conversation. I see how long you actually, quote unquote, warm up. So the workout started at 7 o'clock. She went to the first exercise, the first movement, like actually start lifting load, 7:11. She spent 11 fucking minutes warming up. And I'm just thinking in my mind, one, you're sitting down on your iPad doing it. I'm thinking the trainer's like, okay, if we want to do some math real quickly, this almost comes out to $3 a minute. And my trainer's sitting down talking to me about random shit for 11 minutes. Do I see that value? And the trainer isn't thinking like, oh, do they see that value? What's going to happen though is that they got coerced into buying sessions from you for whatever reason. They spent $1,500 at the end of the month. They're thinking, I don't want to continue to train with this person who's warming me up for 11 minutes. So it's a case by case. Does your client need to warm up? Always, it depends. For someone who's really out of shape, I may spend 10 minutes warming up and just learning more about them, because I know they're not going to make that 60-minute session. This dude right here, he's in his mid-30s. He wants to probably lose 5 pounds. He wants to get jacked. I absolutely know for a fact he didn't come in there and say, I wanted to warm up for 10 minutes. And so we got to listen to what our clients want. So we have a client in Santa Monica. His name's Chris, and he runs like 6, 8, 10. He's a lunatic. He loves running. So he'll run 8 miles and then he'll end off in the gym. So literally when he comes in, he's sweating, give him a towel the first thing, we'll give him a bottle of water, and then we go into that first set, like boom, right there. He'll get there exactly when he needs to. And that first set, back squat, 75%. He'll hit 10, 12 reps. We don't do any warm up because he just ran for that amount of time. He doesn't need to. Now, if you and I were to meet for the first time in person, obviously we're going to do bench press today. And so we're going to go to a bench press. Might do this, might do this. Yeah, I'm going to ask you, what do you warm up with? What do you warm up with, Mario?
shit, 135.
Okay, so I'll say, okay, let's put that on there, put 135. I'll go first, hit my 10, watch you go. So it's always case by case. Someone has shoulder pain. Yeah, sure, I'm gonna do some more mobility stuff. Now, what people will then do is they'll misinterpret what I'm saying and say, oh, he doesn't believe in warming up. No, I think that look at what I just did with Mary for the first round of the exercises. A 10-pound goblet, which was super light, showed her how to do push-ups in a plank. She's not going to hurt herself doing those. I would feel comfortable going right into the goblets first and just having her do body weight squats, showing her how to set up for a push-up and hold that position and come down super slow, and then doing planks without even doing a warm-up. I mean, take someone who you know is really out of shape. I'm going to think my brother. He's not like in terrible shape, but he's not in good shape. I feel absolutely comfortable saying, hey, Nick, let's do a push-up contest right now. See who can do more. Get down there, even if we had a couple drinks in us, and start doing them. He's not going to blow his shoulder up because we're not going to go like throw a baseball as hard or fast as we can. We're not going to go do something maximal. So does that kind of make sense, Mario?
Sorry, it depends on the person. I was just thinking like, because I'm trying to put my experience. Obviously, I've never trained anybody, so I'm trying to put my experience of me training and how I've warmed up, and how long I've warmed up, and how long, like sometimes it's been like 12 minutes, and I'm like, well, that's way too long. Like just warming up, right, stretching and stuff, and then it's been like maybe just 4 moves, 30 seconds each. Like, okay, cool, I can do that. Like
Yeah,
for
no,
my own, that's my own thing. So I was just kind of gauging where she would be at. So
And I love this because I just had a call with a strength coach. He's the director of performance in Pennsylvania. And what he said I loved, he says, Chris, so much of what my job is the feel. And that's so powerful because and this isn't a knock to you that you haven't trained someone, but when you get an opportunity to observe, mentor, intern, whatever, and then you start getting your reps, that feel is going to come more natural to you. You're going to say that, oh, I know certain people, I may do longer of a warm up. Some people may come in and they're just having a shitty day, and you go foam roll for 10 minutes. There may be some people that come in and they're all wired up, and then you just saw them throw some bang in their mouth and they got pre-workout and they're all fired up and they don't want to do that. So then maybe you go right into that first set. It's always, what is the feel of that environment? If someone's real hesitant about movement, they're afraid of hurting themselves in the gym, then yeah, I'm going to preface the warm-up because that's going to help them feel better mentally.
And you know what, Chris, just to jump in here, and Mario, I was in the same boat, 9 months ago. I've been training people for 9 months now. And through all these classes, you see it, you hear about it, you hear Chris talk about certain different warm-ups and exercises. And after a while, as I got 1 or 2 clients and then they grew, you just start to figure out your own way of doing a warm-up. And I'll look at the workouts now. I used to write out the warm-ups in the beginning because I was so OCD. And now I just know, okay, I'm going to do a squat. I'm going to do a push, a pull. So I'll give them some bands. And to Chris's point, I like to do the bands with them. I grab one end of the band, they grab one end of the band. And it's really a great opportunity to get some good conversation in. And usually that's the time when you can get the most out of them to learn more about them. So, but after a while, within literally a month, I had my warm-up routine down. And to Chris's point, and I didn't pick up on it until probably a couple of months later, is I just changed the warm-up because I was doing the same exact warm-up for hitting most of the joints. And then I realized that, not everybody needs that. And you start to feel it as you get each client, to Chris's point. So I wouldn't harp on it too much. You start to get your groove as you get each client.
That's when I was doing this. So if you notice on the next day, so on the Wednesday, it doesn't have a warm up because I started thinking through. I'm like, well, I kind of thought about this on the fly, right? Like just the jumping jacks and all that, just to think like get her warmed up. Then I was like, well, I could probably manipulate that on the next day, do something different, right? And then the third day I could do something different because as I was thinking more about it, right? Because it took me a while to figure this out, as best I could. And the warm up was like, well, I could always do something different the next day and then the day after that, and like keep changing it up, or, that's what I was thinking. So yeah, that was kind of my mindset. I just didn't know like I'm reading stuff and I'm like, okay, well, it says in his book, like 5 minutes. I'm like, well, that's like a long time. I was like, well, I don't know if I like that. So
And those are things that I have to put, because if I don't put it, then people will look at the other way and say, oh, I can't believe this guy doesn't believe in warming up. So I'm
Well-
putting in there like kind of nonchalant, like, do what the fuck you want for 5 minutes. And I like how you took the time to do this, but then you are a thinker, because down here you're thinking like, I can come up with something on the fly. So I'd almost encourage you, it's okay to classify all your clients in certain ways. Like on Monday, I'm going to do foam rolling. Every single one of my clients, I don't care if we're hitting bench or if we're doing squats, we're going to foam roll first. On Tuesday, it's a banded warm up. And Wednesday, we're going to be doing some FRC stuff, which is like functional release controlled articulations of the joints. And you work with more advanced, it's called PNF, proprioceptive neuromuscular facilitation. Maybe on Thursday, we're doing more cardio stuff. And then on Friday, we walk around the block. And it's like every time my clients come in next week, it's a little different. So I'm going to do foam rolling, but I'm going to do foam rolling with my thumbs or my elbow or my feet. And so then what happens is, just put yourself in this client's shoes. I know for a fact, I know trainers probably better than any trainer out there in the world. And this lady who's taking this guy through that warm up, I guarantee the next time he comes in, same thing. Next time he comes in, same thing. She sits down, she sits down, she gets comfortable, she's on her iPad, and it's to say, okay, we got to do our thoracic mobility, we got to do this one and this one and this one. And so how long is it going to take for that client to be like, wow, literally the same thing every single time? And so that's where a great trainer can recognize and say, okay, it's not a big deal. I know my clients like novelty, they like doing new stuff, but do it when it's appropriate and we're not compromising force production. So do that stuff in the beginning. Go ahead, Dominic.
Yeah, I had a question. So is it bad to leave it up to them to do whatever warm-up they prefer? Like if somebody likes to ride the bike for a couple of minutes, can they just decide?
Love it, love it. So what I would do, and this could also be part of your turnover to, in a good way, to keep your clients engaged. So starting January 1st, every single client needs to burn 100 calories on the treadmill. And so I set clear expectations for them, saying that, so the session starts at 7. You need to burn 100 calories before the session starts. So you need to get here at 6:45. And if you get here at 7, I'm going to sit right next to you and we're going to walk on the treadmill for 20 minutes and we're going to burn those 100 calories, because this is the plan for your success. And if you don't listen to my plan for your success, it'd be like going to a psychologist or a therapist and you have your homework and you don't do it, well, you're not going to get better. So I think it's fine to say, go ahead and do your favorite warm-up routine. You can even give your clients, like, I want you to foam roll your calves. I want you to do thoracic extension. I want you to do this 90-90. Maybe you give them 5 things and they need to do it beforehand. That's perfectly fine as well. So I like how you
Dominic,
got your, good.
I'm sorry, Chris. And Dominic, I usually ask them. I have one lady that started with me like 6 months ago, and she was dead set on, she just liked to do the treadmill before she worked out. That's what she's always done. So that's what she likes to do. So I accommodate her. I'm like, okay, yeah, we can do that. And then if I know we're going to do a press, I make sure that I'm going to add in my band pull aparts and certain things that I'm going to make sure that we warm up or to get whatever muscles we're going to work on, so that ultimately I like to take lead on the warm up, because that's what we're there for. We're there to give them the prescription of what they need. But you also have to play the game. And Chris talks about that a lot, about playing the game. And playing the game is, if that's what they like to do, then you say, okay, no problem. We're going to do it for 2 minutes. And then the other 3 minutes, we're going to do some other stuff that's going to help us really, not activate, but get ready for the workout that we're going to do and get those muscles ready that we're going to do. But there's a part of playing the game, but I generally like to take lead on it, because that's what they're paying you for. You don't want them thinking like, well, if I could just do what I want, then why do I have you?
Yeah, that's
I was thinking psychologically for a new person, it's going to get them excited that they're getting a little bit involved and that they could feel free to do something they like.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And that's where, Chris always talks about, look, what's your favorite exercise? What do you love to do? I love to do bicep curls. Okay, great. We're going to do bicep curls. You want to do them every workout? We'll do them every workout. They're going to be towards the end. If it wasn't a part of the program that I had, I'm going to put them towards the end, and I may do it for a time. Hey, let's see how many bicep curls you can do in 30 seconds. And then, you know, things like that. To your point, the psychological aspect, but yet still getting the workout that you had designed in there for them, making sure that you hit that end goal.
And yeah, that's perfect, Mark. I couldn't agree more. And then this is directed towards general population. There will be times when maybe you have a client who's maybe in a little better shape that'll also use this as an opportunity to kind of pull rank. So when you look at the sexes, guys and girls, which sex typically has terrible range of motion?
Guys.
Dudes, we suck at it. So I may, if I have a bro who comes in, he wants to improve his bench and his squat or whatever it is, I'm going to take maybe more time than normal to do a good little warm up to show him some drills and exploit his weaknesses and put him into positions where he's like, oh shit, like I didn't know that I'm supposed to be able to move to that certain degree. And it's like, if we're only as strong as our weakest point and you have no thoracic rotation, your thoracic region of the spine connects with your shoulder. It's called your scapulothoracic joint. And when I'm bench pressing, when I'm pressing, that joint needs to be optimal. And if it's not optimal, there could be restriction in the rest of the body. So it's a feel, but it's also playing the game. And you know, we can have whole classes on warm-ups. And I think that warm-ups can be a great little lure because a lot of people are bored with exercise and they don't know what to do. So when you show them new stuff in the warm-up, and especially you just imagine you come in, you're like, all right, here, I do this. And you're kind of bored versus you make it fun. Okay, we're gonna do a mirror game. And put your hands up. All right, good. Hands out. Nice. There. Good. Back. Here. And I did this with Fifi the other day in class when I filmed it. And then I started doing the chicken dance, started dancing, and she did it. I'm laughing, she's laughing. And we were enjoying the beginning part of it. So use your creativity. But don't use your creativity on the patterns. So like, this is good with your bridge. I like that. You got your push-ups, good. Your planks, done for 3 rounds. You're doing a 15, 14, 12, which I like. It's something different. You don't see it a lot. So you're doing your wall push-ups, which is good. And then your planks, nice. Now, just be careful not getting into the habit with a lot of trainers. What they do is they get their phone out, they do the 30 seconds, and all of a sudden, every single time we do planks, it's just a timed plank. So there's nothing wrong with, testing your client to see how long they can do a plank for, but then, why are we doing it longer than 30 seconds? If your client can hit 30 seconds, let's start making it a little more challenging by tapping your shoes in front of you, closing their eyes, something as simple as that, doing a little seesaw variation by dipping back and forth. So there's so many plank variations that we can do. I like these 3 that you're doing there. And then again, when your client's feeling good, always ask, if you need to take a longer break, that's perfectly all right. My goal is to finish this workout. And I'll say things like this. I'll say, my goal is to get you through this workout without you dying. Because if you die, it doesn't look good on my resume. So we're going to go nice and slow because our clients want to be moving and they want to, okay, should I do jumping jacks now? No, chill out. Rest is just as important as the exercise, because if you don't rest, then you can't do that exercise optimally. So then I'm going to take the mat, I'm going to put the mat away, I'll clean the mat off, show that I'm nice and professional and clean, and that if there's anything around, maybe I'll instruct my client to go get some water or whatever. Then we go to the goblet squats, just like we did, goblet squats. Now we're going to do a lat pull down machine because we're at a gym and they have it, cool. And then they have a little leg lift machine that you can do that and you feel like that was a good choice. Love it. Do that for 3 rounds. And then maybe on one of them, you say, all right, so we're really going to get after it. So that last set, you give her a weight that you really are going to challenge her for 12 reps. And maybe after that 12th one, you may need to rest 30 seconds to even a minute before you do the lat pull down. That's okay. You don't have to go boom, 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 and then rest. It depends on the situation. So you complete those 3, I like it, and then you do your step ups. One thing you might have to be a little cautious with 12 is you got to double that. So it's 24. So maybe start with like 6 or 8 per side and then switch, because 12 step ups on the left side, step 12 on the right. After this workout, maybe she can handle it, maybe she can't. So you just ask after that 3rd round in circuit 2, how you doing with energy? Do you got a little left in the tank? Because if my client is like that cardio bunny and they're like, oh, this is super easy, well, then you dial it up at the end. All right. Now it's like, I'll kind of smile like, all right, yeah, that was the purpose of it. Now we're going to get into a solid circuit. And, you do 12 per side into dumbbell lateral raises, military press, farmer's walk, banded walks, and then you can kind of smoke them at the end. where trainers get in trouble today, and someone was commenting on my recent tweet, was that they annihilate the client from the beginning. And we do a circuit such as a back squat into a bench press into battle ropes, the very first circuit. And that's a very taxing compound metcon style of training that it isn't appropriate for your clients. Remember, our clients aren't like us. They don't enjoy exercise for the most part. Our goal is to ignite that fire in them where they want to exercise, where they see the benefits of it. So that's a good little circuit. And then I like how you threw some different exercises in there. So just remember the professional side of stuff now. So it would be good for you on Tuesday to reach out to her, text her. How you feeling today, Mary? You did really great. Looking forward to seeing you tomorrow at 5 o'clock. So we're confirming that next workout. Maybe she sends you something that she's really sore. You give her a little suggestion on some protein or an orange Julius, whatever you suggest. Maybe something's feeling a little off. Like, remember when we did the assessment, I told you I got really tight hips. My hips are a little tighter today. Oh, great. And then I would take that as an opportunity if she had social media. If she didn't, I would send her a video. But if she had social media, and don't stereotype, oh, she's 59, she's old, she doesn't have social media. No, you never know. So I'd ask her, do you have social media? ? What's your handle? And if she says no, then I would just put my phone up and I'll record a little video and then I'll send it to her. But then I would take that video and I'll put it on my Instagram or do another one and say, this is for my client, Mary. She had some tight hips today. We had an awesome full body workout yesterday. I'm going to show you my favorite hip drill. And so just the fact that you're talking to someone else, people are going to look at your story and be like, oh, who's Mary? Who's this Mary girl that he's working with? And now you're putting a seed in their mind that you work with people, and then you show them a cool little exercise. So that's how you play the game. That's how you get your followers engaged. And from that proactiveness, one, you're taking double good care of your clients because you followed up with them, setting the expectations. And then if there's something wrong, you can help them. But now you're putting lures out there for more clients. And someone reached out and said, oh, I have hip issues as well. Oh, let's hop on a Zoom call. I'd love to chat with you a little bit and learn more about you. Hop on a Zoom call. You can do a full-blown assessment right here. So what do you normally do with your hip? How did it start hurting? Oh, God, I work with a team of physical therapists. Your situation sounds very, very manageable. I can send you over some exercise that you can start doing at home. I think it'd be great for us to meet weekly. And my hourly rates are $125. How do you want to pay for it? Like that's how you have your conversations today. That's how you build your book of business. Our second workout, I love how we're doing the goblet squat. So awesome. Now, do you think that Mary's going to be doing the same weight here as she would here?
No, so I had a question about that. So I know you already explained it. So this is what I know you're talking about progressive overload. So I was thinking about the weights and you already kind of explained it. So at this point, I didn't really know how much, like at the feeling part, right? How much she could handle, right? At this point. And I didn't know if like adding weight or, putting more weight would be appropriate this first week. I didn't know.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. So a couple of things we can do. One, first thing she does when she comes in, how you feeling? We sore anywhere? Check with her. Make sure she slept well and everything's good to go. She's good. Show a new warm up. Awesome. All right. So remember, Mary, on Monday, we did goblet squats. We started out with 10. We ended off with 20. And you really kicked ass. And she made the 20. She could have done 20 of them. So then you start with the 20 and you give her that one for 15. And then you go to 25. And you go to 30. That'd be option one. Option two would be maybe you want to put a band on her knees this time. Because when you put a band on her knees, she needs to drive out externally and she's going to really feel in her ass. You could keep the weight the same, but now there's a different dimension to it. And to her, that's a different exercise. I like how
Chris, sometimes I do the
good.
Oh, I'm sorry. Chris, sometimes I do the where I'll start them off on the box, for a box squat and then maybe get into no box and then even I don't know, I guess this would be considered progressive overload, but a pause squat, where you have them pause at the bottom for 3 seconds and then come up, or a pulse squat, where you have them do like 3 pulses. Would you consider that a progressive overload, even with the same weight, but being able to control it eccentrically?
Because your total time under tension is increased. So yes.
Yeah. Okay.
So if you did a total of 15 seconds of work on Monday, and now you're doing a pulse or slowing it down and you're doing a total of 25 seconds, that's overload.
Gotcha.
Margaret was asking about, let's see. Yeah, Margaret was asking about I definitely, for full body warmups, I like to go through the 9 checkpoints. So your ankle, your knee, your hip, your lumbar, thoracic, your cervical, shoulder, elbow, wrist. If we're doing more of a lower body specific, then I would just do lower body. If we're doing full body, I like to hit all those. So again, like this is hitting, if I push across here and I get into triple extension, so my legs behind me, that's all my checkpoints right there. I have plantar flexion, my knees extended, my hips extended, my lumbar and my thoracic region are engaged. My cervical is looking to the side, shoulders coming across. So it's like, those are little things that we encourage you to check off, is to go through those 9 checkpoints. And then you do your rows. I like that. Now planks, change it up. So maybe you have 2 cones. You have red, yellow, and green in front of her now, and she's holding the plank. And you go red, boom, green, boom, yellow, boom. So that's a variation right there. Maybe one day you have a pointer and you point on the ground and she has to tap it. That's a different plank variation. So then for the goblets, you do those 3. I like that. And then we're doing bridges. So maybe we just decided to do the 20 pounds, 25 and 30 for the goblets. So this time for the bridges, we could put the band on her knees. So now the band is on her knees and you're cueing external rotation, driving through the heels. You can throw your toes up if you like. And now you found from those prior push-ups that maybe she can do a bench push-up. So we're going to progress into a bench. Or option B would be you have her stick a leg out when she does her push-up. And then now we're doing some heel touches. I like that. And so now we're going to do some step-ups, and you felt like this is appropriate. You want to go a little more because she liked sweating or whatever. Cool. But now instead of doing a sagittal step-up, do a frontal step-up. So you just do a side step. That's a total different exercise. Maybe you want to add load, where last week on Monday, we just did 12, 11, 10, but now we're going to add some load bilaterally. So you're holding both dumbbells. And so then on that third workout, you could even do a different plane, or you could just do a unilateral. You got it. For our minds, we don't see that as a different exercise, but to your clients, it is. Come on. So then we have our side, again, nice. So you could even just, like how you put this in a template, you don't have to do dumbbell side raises. This could just be, Mary, if you could have one perfect body part, what could it be? Maybe she said shoulders. And so then you do side raises on Monday, and then this time you do rotating T's. So a little variation of that. So this is like Mary's favorite exercise. And then you do your side kicks. Now, some things you may come across are the workouts go a little fast. So you could always have like a circuit 4 in your back pocket. You could have a little cardio section. You could have a game section at the end. There's a lot that you can do. You could even go through the whole workout one more time for one set if you wanted to. It always depends on the client. Sometimes you may only get through 2. You got to do it to learn how to dictate the session. And you will come up with your own system on how it works. But I would say 95% of the time, 3 circuits of 3, if you are getting engaged, will take you exactly an hour. A little bit of a warm up. You always have 5 minutes at the end if you need to go a little faster or pivot into something else. Then on Friday, I like the weighted bridge. Now we're doing hip thrust, shoulder press, great. Side planks, beautiful. Sumo squat, new squat variation, love that. Single arm pull down, great. Calf raises. She said she wanted to work on some calves, cool. Weighted step ups, just like you did last time, cable twists and barrel. Now this is beautiful. Like this is really, really, really good, Mario, because you have a lot, I would say about 80% of the same movements, but you have different variations. Now, if you set the expectations in the beginning with your client that I'm going to be doing all these crazy new exercises, and then you do the same ones, your clients are going to be thinking, this isn't going to work. Because I saw this girl on Instagram and she had 2 million followers and she has a booty band and she calls it 30 best exercises. And that's what I want. So when I say play the game, make these B's. So this would be your circuit. This would be circuit 2. Your sumo squat would be your core pattern. Your pull would be a core pattern for the upper body. And then the B would be your calf raise. Make the B's what your clients want. That's how you appease your clients. Ask them, what do you want to feel today? What do you want to feel on fire? My ass. Great. We're not going to do calf raises. We're going to do a a wall sit with a band on your knees and you got to do 25 repetitions. And you're going to feel it in your ass and you're going to be walking like a duck right after. Oh shit, I feel it, I feel it, I feel it. That's how we play the game. We're not compromising force production because we're going to rest afterwards. So then we can go back to the sumo squat. And this is a joke, but why don't we call it a sumo squat for girls?
Because they think you call them fat.
Yeah, don't say sumo. It's always it's
Oh
plie.
no.
So we're doing a plie squat. It's just like a
Okay.
guy. I don't do plie squats with guys. I do sumo squats. It sounds badass. And so it's just, it's a little play on words, but yeah,
That's
I think
good.
that's
Thank you for telling me that. I had no idea, man. I didn't think about that.
yeah. For the most part, most of your clients will laugh, but I have had a couple of girls that will say like, I don't really like the sound of sumo. I'm like, oh, that makes sense. Like for dudes, we're like, yeah, it's cool, but I always got to think of the client. So overall, awesome. I like your variety. I like the structure of it. I see your overload. What I would record as you're doing this, each week, you're going to have certain PRs that you're going to be setting with personal records. So maybe on Monday, it was a certain amount of bridges that she did with like a lateral raise. Wednesday, you recorded the goblet squat and then the bridge. And then next week or the Friday, it's sumo squats. So then you take that data and next week, what I would do is you kind of reflect and which exercises that you do really well at. Then, and someone was asking me today in class, they were saying, do you like 3-month programs? I said, no, I hate them because you're essentially designing 3 months of workouts for a client that you're giving them one time. So where's the accountability? Where are the check-ins? I don't even like 1-month programs. I like week programs in the sense that you're going to be working with me for a month. My program's $300, but you get the workouts every week because I want to be in contact with you. And I want to see, what did you like? What didn't you like? How did you perform those? So how I would piggyback on this, if this was my actual client, is I would go back and now we're going to start here. We're going to have a new little warm-up that we're going to do. She did well with you introduced essentially your hip thrust here. So I'm gonna put in my bank like, okay, she did great with hip thrusts. She really did with goblets and step ups. Okay, so I'm gonna do hip thrust again here. And now I'm gonna do, we didn't do like a loaded press besides military press, but I'm talking about maybe I'll do incline push-ups now. And then I'm gonna do another Pallof variation. You had like a banded one from last Friday. Great. Now we're gonna do A, goblets, or B, maybe I'm going to sidestep and maybe I want to try a back squat. If you want to teach me that, that would be fine. Or if you want to continue on with the goblets, you could do that. You make that decision. Maybe I'm going to try some eccentric pull-ups because we did back 3 times, but now I think I want to try some pull-ups with it, maybe 2 or 3 sets of 2 or 3 because she's a lot stronger than I thought. And then instead of doing the step-ups, she wasn't that sore, so I'm going to start doing lunges. I'm going to do reverse lunges with her. So this workout now is completely different than the prior Monday. We come back here, start out with loaded reverse lunges now. And then I'll do my hip thrust. And then now maybe I'll throw in an RDL because we haven't done an RDL, just focusing on that hinge pattern with the landmine machine. So there's my new exercise. That's going to get her really, really sore. And then on the next week, maybe I ask her when she comes on Friday. All right, Mary, it's PR Fridays. So you tell me, so far, what has been your #1 favorite exercise? Was it the goblet? Was it the RDL or the back squat or the hip thrust? And she goes, I really like the hip thrust. Great. We're going to set a PR today. And she hasn't been crazy sore, so I'm going to tweak the volume up a little bit. We're going to do 4 sets now. So we start with 10s, and we go to 25s, we go to 35s. And I'm going to put a weight on there that she can, with great form, for 10 reps perform. And I'm going to document that. And then the second group, maybe I'll come back to my sumos. And I'm going to do a dumbbell row this time because she's never done it. And I do a suitcase step up, which is just one arm. And maybe I have her do a waiter's variation. So she's holding a weight above her head as well. Or maybe I have a sandbag and I put the sandbag over her shoulder. So again, now we've gone for 2 weeks. She's reflecting and she goes, so far, I've done a lot of the same exercises. I'm getting a lot stronger already. I am getting sore, but I'm prefacing soreness isn't the end of the world. It's not the end all be all. I don't want to strive for it, but I want you to be a little sore. So she's thinking like, this is working. This is what I need. I go to the trainer, I leave, I feel safe. I'm doing the same exercise, I'm getting better, and I'm setting PRs, I'm getting confident. And essentially I would do this variation of these workouts for a month. And then the next month, I'll just probably start increasing the volume. I start maybe introducing some supersets. So I would do a back squat into a goblet squat. I do an incline press into push-ups. I would do a pull-ups into rows. So the intensity, when you look at progressive overload, that's gone up. I can start doing more volume too. So I'm doing 4 sets now. Also, just the efficacy of the sets are increasing dramatically. So the first workout you do with a client, like you're probably doing like 2 total sets realistically, because like the first set, it's lightweight, they're just going through the motion. Second set, you gauge. They probably could have done 3 or 4 more, but you stopped at 10. And that last set, you really get a solid working set for goblets or whatever. So now the next month, it's like we're getting a solid 3 sets. You do your first little round, second round, we really get after it, and we're crushing away to 10. We're doing like 40 pounds now, whereas the prior month we were doing 20, 25. And then we go up to 45. So it's like you just total quality of the workout is greatly increasing. So this was awesome. This is a really, really great workout for a beginner. And I love the energy and time that you put into this, Mario. It shows that you're really taking this serious. Now you take this and now you got to train someone, and you take them through those workouts. You gather the feedback, and then you implement it for a good month, and then you make those tweaks to make it more challenging. And then it's really cool is because then you're just going to be able to show your true colors of how you train the 4th Mary that comes in. So you have this program in your head already. Someone reaches out to you and says, I want to go through a workout. You can do something very, very similar. I mean, you got to assess them, make sure it's appropriate within reason. But then you do that a variation of this, and now you get to have fun with it, and you get to really do the dance per se. I don't want to cut it too short today, but it's not the same program, but we have our NASM call at 5 o'clock. If you do have any questions, just shoot me over a message. I will take a look at everyone's program that did send them to me. I know, Margaret, you sent me yours. This will also be a good little template for moving forward, how you can design that first workout for a beginning client. Any questions? I can take one before I get out. All right. Enjoy your evening. We'll see you.
Thanks, Chris.
Thank you.